Because I was so poorly and very much detached from reality, in the beginning I didn't really understand where she'd come from. I thought something had happened to her, so I didn't really believe she was mine. I found it really difficult to look after her. I was really scared and really kind of isolated. My pregnancy was great. And then I started to show signs of preeclampsia, so I went into hospital to be induced. My daughter was born on the Wednesday morning at 6:23 a.m. And then when I came round from the general anaesthetic, I was just very confused. I started to kind of lose sense of time. I couldn't really understand who the midwives and nurses were, and that night I didn't really sleep. My mind was on overdrive, so it's very busy, lots of racing thoughts. From the outside, it didn't look like that. I was just quite vague and couldn't communicate things. And then I started to kind of hear and see things that weren't really there. Shadows on the wall and flashing lights. I kept telling the health professionals that something wasn't right, but I just couldn't understand what it was. I was having lots of physical tests done, lots of bloods, lots of scans on the brain to check for stroke, but it all came back negative. And I have what I describe as a kind of psychotic episode. So I believed I'd died, I was living in an afterlife, and I was being punished for something that had happened to my daughter. At that point, I was diagnosed with postpartum psychosis, and I was admitted to a general psychiatric ward, and I was separated from my daughter. And I was started on lots of different medications, so antipsychotics, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, and eventually discharged into the community. Alongside the psychosis, I had very severe depression as well, so lots of intrusive thoughts, lots of fear, lots of suicidal thoughts. And then what I describe as PTSD, so I had lots of flashbacks to being in hospital, and it wasn't so much the birth, it was more the actual psychosis. Lots of things would take me back to that moment, whether it was smells or kind of memories. So I was probably 8 months down the line before I got the treatment that I needed. I didn't want to go back into the general psych unit because I was really scared of it. We came across a secondary opinion psychiatry service, and they were able to talk to my team, and it was suggested that I should try ECT. So I'd go in as an outpatient, I'd have a general anaesthetic, a muscle relaxant and an electric shock on the brain to try and induce a fit. It wasn't particularly nice treatment, but it literally saved my life. Although I'd recovered from the symptoms, the acute symptoms, I felt like there was lots of stuff to process. I had lots of fear about getting ill again. Then a lot of guilt around my daughter, so I wasn't with her physically for the first couple of weeks of her life, but I wasn't really there emotionally for the first year, and that used to make me very sad. And then I met other women that have been through similar experiences. That was massive to just be able to talk through, process everything, and I felt like I was going to be okay. One of the things that really helped, and one of the things I'd want to say, is that these things happen completely out of the blue. You know, they're not your fault. It's not necessarily something that you've done. It was one of the most horrific things I've ever been through, and I'm not thankful for having been through that, but I am thankful for where it's led me, and I've met some incredible women and families. Part of what I do now is training health professionals in postpartum psychosis, but I'm also part of the Helix Forum to help design services and make sure that other people get the right care that they need.